Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss how to troubleshoot and if any user has reported related RDP issues in Azure VM. We are going to discuss today with that. So there will be any common points which are the causes of the issue, and we are going to troubleshooting by following the steps. And these are the different ways to troubleshoot the Azure or Azure Virtual Machine RDP issues if any user has reported. One, if user has reported this RDP issue, we need to verify the VM running state, whether VM is in stop state or running state, how it is. We need to go and check with that. To verify that, we need to log into the Azure portal by using portal.azure.com. Once we log into the Azure portal, we need to go on to the services. Under services, we have an option called virtual machines. Once we select that, we need to select the virtual machine which has affected or which is reported by the end user. We need to select that. Once we get selected, if you see, if we can see here, we can able to see that the mission is in stop state. If it is in stop state, we can go and start the virtual machine, and we'll ask user to check the RDP connection again. So that in that condition also, if the user has reported again stating that I'm unable to connect with the machine, so that time we need to verify the user access roles. So one, we need to verify this. So whether the user have the proper access to access the particular virtual machine or not. And then so for that we need to go on to the Azure portal. Under same virtual machine, we have an access control. We can verify here what are the groups or any any groups has been associated with this particular virtual machine, or any users has been associated with this particular virtual machine. As per company, they are going to create a security group. Under that particular security group, they are going to add the users, and that particular security group they are going to add here, or they will create some kind of custom roles. So then they will associate that particular custom policies to the particular user. So we have another way to troubleshoot this issue, and we can go related to the access. We can go on to the all services in on the Azure portal. We have an option called Azure Active Directory. Under Azure Active Directory, if you see, there is an option called users. Once we select the users, we can see the multiple users here, and we can go and by using that particular username, we can go and select that particular user under this users list. Once we get selected with the user, and we'll go and we under manage option, we have an option called assigned roles, and we'll go and check this first. What are the roles has been associated with this particular user? And also we'll verify the groups which has been associated with this particular user, and then we'll verify that security group which is associated with that particular virtual machine, or the policy which has been associated with that particular machine. If the user is not existed, we'll go and add the user, and that particular security group will ask user again to access the RDP, so that if in that condition also user said that I'm unable to connect. So in that condition, what we will do, we have an option called VM. We'll go and reset the VM configurations. So for that, we need to log into the Azure portal. Under services, we have virtual machines, and we need to select the affected virtual machine. Under virtual machines, we have an option called support and troubleshooting. Under support and troubleshooting, we have an option called reset password. Once we select this, we have an option called reset the configuration. So once we select that, what it will exactly do is the VM extension reset the built-in administrator account and reset the remote desktop service configuration settings once you have logged into the VM. So it will help to reset the remote desktop service configuration settings and by using that we can do this. We so this is the option which will help us to reset the remote desktop service configuration settings. Once we select that option, we need to click on update. And after that, we'll go and ask the user to, once it's get updated, we'll get a notification stating that reset VM reset configuration has been done. Then we'll ask with the user to access the RDP of that particular virtual machine. If still the user has said they are unable to connect with the virtual machine, that time what we will do exactly, we'll go and verify the VM console logs. For that, we need to go on to the Azure portal. Under all services, we have virtual machines. Under virtual machines, we need to select the affected virtual machine. Once we get selected this, we have an option called boot diagnostics. We have an option called under troubleshooting and support and troubleshooting. We have an option called boot diagnostics. Under boot diagnostics, for to utilize this option, we must and should need to enable the boot diagnostics option. Then we have an option called serial logs. Under serial logs, we will get the logs here. The virtual machine will download the serial log. If you see here, we have an logs like boot logs, boot serial logs, which usually help us to troubleshoot the issue. By using this, we will find out the ports or whatever the things has been unloaded, how it is rebooted, what is the issue exactly facing while booting this Windows. So based on that, we'll go and take an action on this virtual machine, and after that we'll go and ask the user to try to access the virtual machine. If that also not working, we are going to reset the network interface settings of the virtual machine. For that, we need to go on to the Azure portal. Under Azure portal, we need to go on to the all services. Under all services, we have an option virtual machines. We need to select the affected virtual machines under virtual machines options. Under that, we have on that particular virtual machine, under settings, we have an option called networking. Under networking, we have an option called network interface. We need to select this. And under that, we have settings options. Under network interface card, we have an option called IP configuration. Under IP configuration, we need to verify if the IP has been forwarded to any other located in any other VM or any other application or something else. We need to verify that. And if you see here, we have an like private IP and public IP which has been associated that particular virtual machine. By using this particular network interface card, we'll go and click on that, and we'll make it as a static IP of this private IP, and we'll click on the click on save option. Once it gets saved, the settings has been saved, we'll get a notification that the settings has been changed and it has been affected. You'll get that notification here. under notifications. Once it's done, we'll go and ask with the user, try to access the RDP. If still the user doesn't like, again, user reported stating that still I'm unable to access the virtual machine RDP, Azure Virtual Machine RDP. So that time, what we will do, we'll go and verify the network security group rules. For that, we need to log into the Azure portal, and under virtual machines, we need to select under settings, we need to select the networking. Under networking, we need to select the network interface part. Under that, if you see under settings, we can see that network security group, which has been associated with this particular virtual machine. So we can take this name and we'll go on to this, we'll capture this network security group name and we'll go on to the network settings. I mean, and we will go on to the network security group rules. For that, we need to go on to the network security groups option. We need to search for network security groups. Under network security groups, if you see, we have a network security group which we have created. Under this, we'll select under settings, we have an option called inbound rules. So here we'll verify the RDP connection, whether we have allowed that particular port or not. So if it is allowed, we'll try to reconfigure this by deleting this particular RDP connect port and we'll add it again and we'll save the sun settings and we'll ask the user to access. Okay. There is one more option instead of going this through all through the steps. We'll go under virtual machine. Under virtual machine, we have an option called networking. And here, if you see, there will be a network security groups rules which has been associated with this particular virtual machine. So here also we can easily verify what are all the inbound rules which we have loaded to this particular virtual machine. So every virtual machine, there is they on the back end, they are going to allow they will create a network security group and they will attach that particular network security group to this particular virtual machine instead of enabling each and every time to log in on this particular virtual machine and enable the ports and everything. So to avoid those confusions, they will create usually network security group and they will associate that particular network security groups to the virtual machines. If still after doing this, all the steps or still the user has reported, still I'm unable to connect the virtual machine. So after that, what we will do, check the VM resource health. What was the condition of the virtual machine? Is it there anything? For that, we need to go on to this Azure portal. Under Azure portal, we have an all services. Under all services, we have again virtual machine, and we need to select the affected virtual machine. Under support plus support troubleshooting, we have an option called resource health. Under resource health, if you see, there is an like tick mark stating that available. If the virtual machine is available, it will show a green tick mark. If it is affected with any the kind of issues, it will show a red mark. Or if any issues has been affected, if you see identity of the logs, history, health history, the virtual machine has started by user at this particular time, or this or the logs will help us to do the troubleshooting of the virtual machine. And after this, if you are going to set that as everything is fine, we'll still will try to ask user to do the again RTP. If still it is affected, what we'll do, we'll reset the virtual machine, Azure virtual machine administration credentials. For this, again, we need to go on to this virtual machines and affected virtual machine under support plus troubleshooting. We have an option called reset password. As we earlier selected reset configuration only, this time what we will do, we'll select an option called reset password. And a reset password, if you have an existing administrator username, or you can also provide new if you forgot the username or of administration. So you can update new username and passwords and everything, and you click on update, and it will once it get updated, you will get a notification stating that the settings has been affected, and you will ask user again to do the RDP. If still the users say that I'm unable to connect the VM. For next option, what you will do, you will restart the virtual machine. For that, you need to log into the Azure portal. Under Azure portal, you have an option called Azure portal. Under all services, you need to select the virtual machine. Under virtual machines, you have an effect. You need to select the affected virtual machines. And once you select it, under overview, you can see the option called restart. So you'll go and restart the services. What this option will help you to reconfigure the reset the settings or programs which are running on the back end. It will stop those services, and it will come on the freshly, and then we'll try to we'll ask once it's restarted complete. So we'll get a notification that the virtual machine restart has been done. So that will ask user again try to connect with the RDP. If still user said that I'm unable to connect the RDP after restarting the virtual machine also, what you will do, will go onto the same affected virtual machine under support plus troubleshooting. You have an option called redeploy or reapply. So what these options will really help us to, so by using redeploy option, will migrate the new Azure host. If suppose will explain physically how it should be. If suppose if have considered that this is an host, your virtual machine has hosted on this particular particular hosted server, but or so, and you have another host on the back end. If you consider on the Hyper-V virtualization, there will be clusters and they have enabled replications from one server to another server, where if you face any network related issues on this particular host of the server, what they will do, they will do the migration uh, from this particular host to this particular host where the network is exact. So by using this, they will enable the same on the backend while using this redeploy option on the backend. What it will exactly do, whatever the virtual machine are hosted in this particular host, it will migrate from here to the next host which is available. So it will deploy here, and because why this will in this particular host, if is there any network related related issues or any maintenance activity is going on, or it may be rebooted, unfortunately rebooted, or maybe high utilization son of CPU or memory or bandwidth. So these are the some of causes which will affect on this slowness or unable to connect with RDP from this particular host. If you use that option, it will migrate it to this another host. So once it's migrated, we'll ask user to try to connect with the RDP again. So if it is, this is one option, and we have another option called reapply. This option, what it will do exactly, it will the operation will rerun the provisioning of VM fail state. If any VM is in fail state, if you see on the resource health, under resource health, we can see that there is a tick mark unavailable. If the VM is affected, like that time it will source us to failed state. So that time we'll use this option to uh, if any VM provisioning while booting the VM, if any affect if the VM is affected. So this option will try to reconfigure that, push all the settings, and will deploy. So these are the two options. If once we click on redeploy, what it will do, it will affect. And once it is redeployment is completed, we'll get a notification stating that redeployment is done. Then we'll go and ask user again to connect with the RDP. If the still user said I am unable to connect with the RDP, and what we'll need to do if the user is working from on-prem, so we usually enable the site-to-site or express route or any point-to-site connections to the end user. So there will be a firewall from the on-prem and as well as in Azure. So we need to verify the firewall settings, whether the port has been RDP port has been enabled or not from the on-premise firewall, and as well as if any firewall we have created on the Azure side. And still that is also not there. Also all the settings are fine. We'll go and check the user on the user missions. We'll go and check the firewall settings. What are all the firewall settings has been enabled on the outbound firewall setting, and we'll based on that we'll go and enable those settings, and we'll perform again, try to connect with the RDP. Or so if the user is using web-based RDP connections, we'll go and clear the cache of browser histories, cache, or anything or the saved on the backend web content or anything. We'll clear those all the things, and we'll ask user try to connect with the RDP again. So if still user said there will be in a slowness, I'm unable to connect, but I cannot do anything or anything. If he has said that I can able to connect with the RDP, but I'm getting in a black screen. So or something else they will report. That time we need to go on to the Azure, the same affected virtual machine. If you under settings, if you see an option called run, not under settings, under operations, if you see an option called run command. So under run command, we'll go and select run command option. So what it will do exactly? So you need to select what are like you need to execute in a PowerShell script, or what you want to do exactly with this. So we'll go and click on run PowerShell script or enable remote PowerShell. So we'll click on remote PowerShell. So we'll click on run this, and so once we'll click on this, we can we can get a script stating that what are all the programs which are running by selecting these all the options. Or if you need to find out the IP configuration settings, or you can select run PowerShell script. Once you click on this, you need to type PS. Once you will select that, you need to click on run. What this command will help exactly, what any programs are running on the back end of the server, it will going to reflect here. what was the utilization, what are all the programs are running. Based on our requirement, we'll go and stop those services by using this console. So this is one more option. After stopping all those backend services, we'll ask user again to connect with the RDP. So if these are all the options, if still the user has reported maximum cases, if you use these all the options, it will get resolved. Sometimes there may be a few scenarios where you are unable to connect with Azure virtual machine still. So that time we'll go and to the login to the serial console. For this, you need to log into the Azure virtual machine, and again you need to go on to the affected virtual machines. Under support and troubleshooting, you have an option called serial console. So here you need to use the same credentials of same virtual machine administrator credentials. So by using this console, we can actually troubleshoot the virtual machine, how we are perform on the on-prem. So these are all the options to troubleshoot the Azure virtual machine RDP issues. Thank you. Bye.